Ayo, back at it again with another video. Thank you all for watching. I greatly appreciate it. So a while back I did videos about Big Ten realignment, SEC realignment, basically the collapse of the Pac-12, and it looks like the most likely conference to probably disintegrate next is probably the ACC. Honestly, depends on how the grant of rights goes. So currently, ACC, 15 teams, 18 in 2024. Nothing says Atlantic Ocean, Atlantic Coast more than University of California, Berkeley, and Stanford. So mostly out on the Atlantic coast, and then added UC Berkeley, SMU, and Stanford for the 2024 season. But right now there is a battle about a grant of rights. Atlantic Coast Conference's grant of rights is a legal document that transfers media rights from schools to the conference for a set period of time. So currently the one that's debating it the most is Florida State. The grant of rights was originally signed in 2013 during a period of conference realignment. Original grant of rights ran through June of 2027. So it's 2024 now, which means that there's a little over 3 years left on the grant of rights. Currently, there's a lawsuit, Florida State versus the ACC. But basically, what that means is if grant of rights gets nullified or somehow, something happens and the grant of rights basically means nothing, then that probably means the ACC is probably more or less done for. So this is the current map, NBC News 2024, as you can tell. Just add in Stanford, Cal, and SMU, but have Miami, Florida State. Florida State wants to join the SEC, but it's not looking like the SEC really wants Florida State, so Florida State might go Big Ten. I don't know. Georgia Tech, Clemson. Got 4 here in North Carolina State, Wake Forest, University of North Carolina, and Duke. Virginia Tech, Louisville, Pitt, Syracuse, and Boston College. So mostly on the Atlantic coast. But yeah, this is a video about where I think if the ACC were to disintegrate, which it honestly is probably likely, where teams would go. This is very, very interesting because they're kind of all over the place. So this is the map for the SEC currently. So 2 teams in Texas, Texas A&M, Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Arkansas, Louisiana. 2 teams from Mississippi, Auburn, and Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. If the ACC were to disintegrate, teams would probably scatter to a handful of conferences, probably the Big 12, Big 10, or SEC. But I feel like teams in the Mid-Atlantic would probably go more towards the Big 10. Maybe SMU, Cal, Stanford might go Big 12. Now that the Pac-12 is non-existent. Clemson would probably go to the SEC, big powerhouse in football over the past decade. Georgia Tech, I don't know. Georgia's the only Georgia school in the SEC. Do they want a second Georgia school? Do they want a second South Carolina school? Are they looking for a second Florida school, or are they looking for their first North Carolina school? It all kind of depends on how it all plays out. But Florida State really wants the SEC, but I don't think the SEC really wants them. It's kind of like a one-way relationship. Probably the Virginia schools and probably Syracuse and Pitt, BC, probably would, lean towards Big Ten. North Carolina and Duke, it all kind of depends on what they prioritize. I mean, Big Ten is a pretty good basketball conference. You take UNC Duke in basketball and take that to the Big Ten, that would be interesting. You got UCLA basketball now, you got USC basketball, all these in the Midwest, IU, Purdue, Michigan State, Penn State, and then you add maybe North Carolina and maybe, Duke into that basketball conference. That would be very interesting. So, most likely, the ones down here in the South are probably going Big 12, or if they're Clemson, or maybe Miami, or maybe Florida State, they go SEC. But, I don't know, SEC hasn't, they expanded with Texas and Oklahoma, so they have made moves recently, but depends. Do you want a second Florida team? I think Clemson would fit really well in here. I think Wake Forest or NC State would do pretty well. It all kind of depends on how far they want to expand, but if the grant of rights is nullified in some way, shape, or form, I can see big schools like Clemson, Duke, UNC, Florida State, Miami hopping ship and going to Big Ten or SEC if the SEC would have any of them. Notre Dame, I don't know. They're always an independent. Yeah, I don't know. No one really knows what Notre Dame is up to. So, yeah, it looks like more and more likely by the week the ACC is next on the chopping block, but who knows? We will see how it plays out. So, with that being said, that is the end of the video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Deuces.